Let's now jump into lesson number 3 of this section, which is working with strings. So we should know what to do by now. We can open up the index page. And then if we open this up inside of the browser, copy the path to this, and then replace the current one inside the browser. So far when we've been setting the inner text, we'll take a look at this example here, which is just like the ones we've looked at in the past. We select this title just above, set the inner text to be equal to something else which wasn't originally there. So here we started with working with strings, and then we replace this with something else which we see inside the browser. So far we've been adding these in between these single quotations, and in JavaScript this is what is known as a string. A string is basically some text. It can be a single character such as a single letter like an A, it can be a single word, it can be a sentence, or even a paragraph. We can also place these inside of the single or the double quotes, it doesn't matter. Both of these will work perfectly fine for an example just like this. However though, there will be an issue if one of the words inside contains the same character, such as a single or double quotation. So if we revert these back to single quotes just like this, and then we can change this to be maybe let's go. This also has an apostrophe, which is the same symbol as these surrounding quotes. Immediately we can see the text editor has highlighted this and changed the color to let us know there is a problem. So what is effectively happening here is we are matching a string from the first two quotations. We can see this is the original color, and then afterwards we see an error. We can see this if we save this file and refresh the browser. We can see in the console we have an unexpected identifier, since it's expecting all of our string to be just contained in between these quotations. There is a couple of ways we can deal with this. First, we could change the outer quotations to be the opposite and make them double. So add the double at the end and also at the beginning too. And now the string will be contained between the double quotations and the apostrophe will be completely valid. Save and refresh, and we'll now see the apostrophe inside the string and we see no errors inside the console. Alternatively, we can use what is called escaping. If we change these back to the single quotations which was causing an error, we can make use of a backslash just in front, and this will then escape the character which we want to then display, and this will tell the browser to then render this as part of the string. Let's try this. This works exactly the same too. Escaping like this also works for other characters too, such as the double quotes. If we escape it like this, we shouldn't see any problem. Let's save this, and that's completely fine. But what if we actually wanted to display this backslash as part of this string too? For this we need to add a double backslash to escape this. So the first one is rendered as part of the text, but the second backslash is used to escape this double quotation. If we have lots of text rather than just a couple of words like we have here, we sometimes want to break it up into multiple lines. To see an example of this, we can go outside of our script and we can generate some sample text inside of Visual Studio Code. To do this, type in the words lorem, L-O-R-E-M, hit enter, and then this will give us some sample text to work with. Let's copy all of this. In fact, we'll cut this out of place and we'll paste this in between our quotations. Now if we save this and check this out in the browser, since we have lots of text here, the browser will automatically wrap this onto new lines depending on the width of the browser. However though, as a developer, if we did want to control exactly when this broke onto a new line, such as this word just here, we may want this to start on a new line. To do this we can use the backslash followed by the letter N as many times as we want inside of here. Let's find the word we were looking for, which is this one just here, and we can use the backslash followed by N. Give this a save and refresh the browser, and this will then break this onto a new line. And you can use this inside of this string as many times as you would like to. Something though to be careful of is we can't have a string over multiple lines. So what I mean by this is, rather than using this backslash and N, if we were to just hit enter and place this onto a new line, we can do this as many times as we would like to, just like this here, we can see that the text editor is warning us of an issue. For a string of text like this, we can't break this onto multiple lines. And we can see this in the browser. If we refresh this, we see an invalid or unexpected token. We do have a couple of different ways we can approach this to fix this, and one of the longer ways to do this is to convert each one of our lines of text into its own string. So we could do it like this, and you can see this is a pretty long way around doing this. And then we would also need to use the plus symbol in between each line to join this onto the next one. So for simplicity, we'll just make this as 3 lines. Refresh, and this all works just like before. Or there is a more modern way, which is to use what is called a template string, and this replaces the quotes with backticks. Let's just undo this and reinstate this back to the original error. And what we can do, rather than having the single quotes at the beginning and the end, we can replace these with what is called a backtick. The backtick is located on your keyboard, and it's a symbol just here. And in my particular keyboard, it's located next to the left shift key. Immediately, the text editor will now remove the errors, and we can save this, and this should all work perfectly fine inside the browser. And you can see it also preserves the line breaks. So just after lorem ipsum, we have a break. We then have our second line, which is this one just here. And we then have each line preserved just below this. These template literals were introduced to JavaScript in ES6 or ES 2015 and allow us to write multi-line strings, along with some other benefits such as inserting variables, which we'll take a look at later. And throughout this course, we'll take a deeper look into strings too, and discover some of the available properties and methods which we can use.